I thought we were more prepared this time, but that PPT meeting reminded me how easy it is for your child to get lost inside a system you do not fully understand yet. And I do not say that to attack anybody. I'm saying it because I walked out of that meeting realizing I still have a lot to learn. This was not our first time trying to get Rowe into school. We tried before with preschool, but at that time, the resources being offered did not feel like enough for what she needed. So we made the decision to wait. We said, okay, maybe kindergarten is the better time. And back then, we were connected with a special education lawyer, not because we were trying to fight everybody, but because we realized early that love alone is not always enough in these rooms. You need language. You need documentation. You need to understand the process. And thankfully, as we step back into this again, our lawyer was still available, still lawyering. So we were able to reconnect with her. And honestly, I thought that meant we were walking in with more clarity. But then we had the PPT meeting, and it felt different than I expected. It was not really a conversation about school yet. It felt more like an intake than a conversation. Everybody had their turn asking questions. They were gathering information, and I understand that now. But in the moment, it was hard not to feel boxed in. Because when you ask me about my daughter, I'm not just thinking in categories. I'm thinking in real life. So when we were talking about behaviors, tantrums, or what might overwhelm her, I brought up something like a fire alarm, because Rowe does not do well with loud sounds. And in my mind, I was not trying to jump ahead and design her school plan. I was trying to paint a picture. These are school people. They know what a fire alarm feels like in a school building. So I thought that example would help them understand her. But instead, it felt like I was being redirected. Like, we'll talk about school later. And that moment stayed with me, because I remember thinking, how do I explain my daughter clearly if every real-life example sounds like I'm jumping ahead? And maybe that is part of learning the system. Maybe there are different meetings for different kinds of conversations. Maybe I need to learn how to separate behavior examples, safety concerns, medical needs, services, and placement in a way the system can actually receive. But as a parent, that is hard, because my daughter is not separated like that in real life. Her medical needs affect her behavior. Her sensory needs affect her safety. Her communication affects how she is understood. Her environment affects how she shows up. And then there was another moment my wife noticed. While she was talking about suctioning and Rowe's trach, she noticed someone laughing with a colleague on the Zoom call. I do not know what they were laughing about, so I'm not going to pretend I do, but I know how it felt. When your child's airway is being discussed, even a small amount of distraction can feel heavy. And that is where I had to check myself. Maybe I walked in expecting warmth from a meeting that was built for information. But I also think both things can be true. The process can have a purpose and still feel cold. The staff can be doing their job, and the parent can still feel like their child is being filtered through paperwork. And that is what I'm learning. Advocacy is not just telling people who my daughter is. It is learning how to explain her in a way the system can actually receive. Not because the system is evil, but because the system has lanes. And if I do not understand those lanes, I might give the right information at the wrong time, in the wrong format, and then wonder why it did not land. That humbled me, because I thought having experience, having a lawyer, Having medical history and living this every day meant I knew how to walk into that room. But there's a difference between knowing my daughter and knowing how to carry her truth into a system built on forms, evaluations, categories, and timelines. I know Rowe. I know her sounds, her patterns, her fears, her strengths, her medical needs. But if I want her to be seen clearly, I cannot only feel deeply, I have to prepare wisely. So no, I do not think this meeting was the end of anything. I think it showed me where the work begins. I walked in thinking I understood the system. I left realizing I understand my daughter, but I'm still learning how to make sure the system does too.